Today we are going to use proportions to solve percent problems. So this proportion up here is going to be very important, and we're going to more use this is over of equals percent over 100. We've talked before about how a fraction is usually the part over the whole. Today we're going to use, and I'm going to keep coming back to the proportion is over of equals percent over 100. So it's probably easier just to kind of jump into some examples. For the first one, I want to know what percent of 30 is 27. Okay, so you have to be really careful, and you kind of have to pick out the important words here. So if we go back to our percent proportion, I have is over of equals percent over 100. The easiest one to pick out most of the time is this percent one here. If you are given a number that has a percent sign after it, that one automatically goes over 100. If you don't have any numbers that have a percent sign after them, you're not going to have a number here. Now in this case, I have 30 and I have 27. It's not 30%, it's not 27%, so neither of those are going to go here. So that's actually where my variable is going to go. I need to figure out which one is going to be my is and which one's going to be my of. Okay, well, and if I read this, what percent of 30, so I'm going to put 30 where my of was, is 27. So my is going to go in my numerator. And once again, I don't have a percent. That's actually what I'm looking for. Okay, well now I have my proportion, so I can solve this. Learned a lot of ways to make this easier. I know over here with 27 over 30, I can make that a little bit easier. I can divide out of 3 from both of those numbers. So I end up with 9 over 10 equals x over 100. Well, now I can get from 10 to 100 by multiplying by 10. If I do the same thing in my numerator, x equals 90, but you have to be really careful because this was a number over 100. So this is actually going to be 90%. You can also double check because I wanted what percent. So I know my answer should be a percent. Okay, let's find out. 18 is 45% of what number? Okay, let's go ahead and we have number is over of equals percent over 100. Like I said, this is going to be the easiest spot to fill. In this case, I have 45%. If I ever have a number with a percent sign over it, I know that's going to go above 100. Okay, I have one of them done. I just have to figure out where I'm going to put that 18. And I see 18 is, so I'm going to put the 18 where the is should go. I'm looking for my of, so that's where I'm going to put my x. Okay, if I look over here at 45 and 100, I know I can divide out a 5 from both of those numbers. So I have 18 over x equals 9 over 20. Okay, and you may notice I can get from 9 to 18 by multiplying by 2. So 20 times 2 gives me x equals 40. And since I wasn't asked for a percent, my answer is just 40. You don't have to add a percent or any other special situations. Okay, let's do one more together and I'll give you one to do on your own. What percent of 72 is 54? Okay, we've got is over of equals percent over 100. I always check for my percent first. And I notice I have 72 and 54. I'm not given any percents, so that percent is actually where my variable is going to go. My is, it says is 54, so 54 is going to be my is of 72, so 72 is going to be my of. Alright, and kind of thinking about easy things that go into 54 and 72, see if I can make this easier. I know I can divide out a 9 from both of those numbers, so 54 divided by 9 gives me 6, 72 divided by 9 gives me 8, and x over 100. Okay, well I don't really know an easy way to get from 8 to 100, so we're going to have to cross multiply. 100 times 6 gives me 600, 8 times x gives me 8x. And if I divide both sides by 8, I should end up with x equals 75. And I'm going to encourage you to always go back and make sure it's not supposed to be a percent. In this case, it said what percent, so I should be expecting my answer to be a percent. Also, you can look that my x was over 100. Remember, a number over 100 is a percent. Okay, I'm going to give you guys one to work out on your own. Tell me, what number is 18% of 50? Okay, so we're using is over of equals percent over 100. So go ahead and fill in your gaps, pause the video, and finish working this out on your own. Alright, you should have ended up with x equals 9. Okay, and let's talk about this last word problem here. There are 1,500 people that live in Medicine Lodge, Kansas. Miss Traffis knows 75% of the people that live in Medicine Lodge. How many people does Miss Traffis know that live in Medicine Lodge? Okay, now we're going to have to pick out our little pieces of information here. This one might be a little bit trickier, but just like normal, this percent is going to be the easiest one to pick out. And I know that I'm going to put 75 over 100 because that has a percent sign. Okay, now, it says that she knows 75% of the people that live in Medicine Lodge. So my of is going to be the number of people that live in Medicine Lodge. And I'm given that information here. So my of is going to be 1,500. I'm looking for my is, which is also my part. You're thinking about that. I'm looking for the part of the Medicine Lodge population that Miss Traffis knows. Okay, for this one, I noticed that from 100 to 1,500, I can multiply by 15. So if I do the same thing in my numerator, 75 times 15, you should get 1,125 people.